She walked into the store like any ordinary customer, jeans, hoodie, nothing unusual. But within minutes, employees whispered, officers stormed in, and suddenly she was in handcuffs. Shoppers gasped, phones came out, and everyone believed they were watching a shoplifter get caught red-handed. What nobody knew, not even the cops making the arrest, was that this woman wasn't a thief at all. She was one of their own, a highly decorated police captain, off-duty, with more years of service than both officers combined. What happened next would leave the entire store in shock, the officers humiliated, and the world reminded of one powerful truth: never judge a book by its cover. It was an ordinary afternoon at a busy suburban department store when a middle-aged black woman named Captain Angela Rivers stepped inside, dressed casually in jeans, sneakers, and a hoodie. Nothing about her appearance revealed her true identity as a highly decorated police captain with nearly 2 decades of service. To her, this was just a quick errand to grab some essentials after a long week on duty. But as she walked through the aisles, she noticed 2 young store employees whispering, pointing, and glancing her way. Angela brushed it off, thinking little of it, and continued shopping. What she didn't realize was that a silent storm was already brewing, a storm that would test her patience, her dignity, and ultimately expose a deep issue of judgment and bias. As Angela selected items, placing them neatly in her basket, a pair of uniformed cops entered the store responding to a vague, shoplifting, call. The employees immediately flagged them down, claiming they had spotted a woman acting suspiciously. Without hesitation or evidence, the officers began scanning the aisles until their eyes landed on Angela. She noticed them tailing her, but after years in law enforcement, she recognized the look: officers moving in on a suspect. Amused more than anything, she decided to let it play out, curious to see just how far they would go. Moments later, as Angela reached for her wallet to pay at the checkout, the 2 officers swooped in. One grabbed her wrist while the other blocked her path. "Ma'am, you're coming with us," the taller one barked. Shoppers turned their heads instantly, whispers spreading like wildfire. Angela remained calm. "Excuse me," she asked evenly, her training allowing her to control her voice despite the growing tension. "You've been accused of shoplifting," the officer replied bluntly. Without checking her bag, without asking for a receipt, they slapped handcuffs around her wrists. Gasps erupted from the nearby customers. Angela, still composed, said, "You might want to check the facts before you embarrass yourselves." But the officers, blinded by assumptions, marched her toward the exit. One even muttered under his breath, "Be glad we're not charging you harder." At that moment, Angela's patience thinned. She stopped walking, turned her head slowly, and with authority that could silence a room, she said, "You will remove these cuffs now." The officers exchanged confused looks, one chuckling nervously, thinking she was bluffing. Then Angela gave them the shock of their lives. Calmly, she recited her badge number, department, and rank. "Captain Angela Rivers, Metro Police, your superior." The entire store froze. The color drained from the officers' faces. One stammered, "See, Captain." The other fumbled with the handcuffs, quickly releasing her. Customers pulled out phones, recording the unfolding scene. Angela rubbed her wrists, her gaze sharp as steel. "Do you realize what you've done?" she asked. Neither officer could meet her eyes. The manager rushed over, apologizing profusely, but the damage was already done. "You assumed. You profiled. You humiliated me in front of strangers without a shred of evidence," she said, her voice carrying the weight of both her authority and her disappointment. Instead of storming off, Angela chose to use the moment as a teaching lesson. She demanded the store's security footage on the spot. In front of officers, staff, and stunned bystanders, the footage revealed Angela doing nothing suspicious, just shopping like any other customer. The employees who had called in the theft looked pale, their whispers now sounding hollow and shameful. "This is how careers are ruined, and this is how communities lose trust," Angela said firmly, addressing not just the officers but everyone listening. But Angela wasn't finished. She gave the officers a clear choice: file a false report that would haunt them forever, or take responsibility, learn from their mistake, and commit to change. With their heads bowed, they apologized sincerely, acknowledging their bias and error. Angela, though hurt, accepted their apology but warned, "Next time, it may not be me." It may be someone without a voice, someone who doesn't have the badge to protect them. Think before you act. The story spread quickly, the video filmed by customers going viral online within hours. Comments poured in praising Angela's composure and condemning the rush to judgment. The department itself released a statement applauding Captain Rivers for handling the ordeal with dignity and reminding officers nationwide of the importance of restraint, respect, and fairness. In the end, what began as a humiliating moment became a powerful lesson, not just for those two officers, but for an entire community. Captain Angela Rivers showed the world that strength isn't about retaliation or anger. It's about standing tall, speaking truth, and turning injustice into a chance for growth. She walked out of that store not just as a customer or even just as a police captain, but as a living reminder that appearances deceive, assumptions destroy, and respect is always deserved.